Voila, we're going live. Let's put some music and let me
Oh, that sounds like a
continue
good
this.
idea, yes.
Yes. Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of our leadership series. I have with me this morning a beautiful and an incredible guest. I'm so honored and happy to have you with me, Afsheen Ismail-Wey. Welcome, my dear.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Me too. I've been looking forward to this because you're a global talent and leadership strategist, but above all, you're a founder of the Phoenix Coaching. And Phoenix just grabbed my eyes because it's all about rebirth, it's all about recreation. So I want to hear everything about your story and what brought you to become the leader of such a beautiful platform.
Oh, thank you so much. Ooh, that's a very loaded question, and there's a lot of context behind it. So um, I think the simplest answer would be that um, I have a hunger for people, to understand people.
Mm.
And before Phoenix, I had already been doing it for about 15 years within corporate as I like to say, as an invested insider, where I got to see quite a few perspectives on how to amplify the impact of people on the organization, but also on themselves, on their lives, on their lived experience in the world.
Mhm.
Just by the chance that I worked in human resources. And so I found myself, I was 40 at the time, and I found myself at this crossroads in my life where while I loved what I did, I felt like if I kept doing it in that format, I would perhaps not see it in its nuanced complexity.
Can you
In the,
tell us what was it that you were doing for people who don't know your incredible background when you were at 40? You
uh,
were an HR
where-
leader. Okay.
so I
Yeah.
was leading the talent and organization effectiveness agenda um, for Abbott Laboratories at the time for Europe, much of Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
A huge global company. And you
Uh,
were in charge of the whole talent and HR. That's quite big.
well, within that region, yes, and it was a very exciting time for me, and it was very clear. I had a very clearly charted out future in corporate,
Mhm.
and I loved my experience in corporate. I really did enjoy it. Uh, the only thing that I kept wondering about was, as an invested insider, you have the opportunity to look at something in one context, within
Mhm.
that one corporate context. And I wondered if there was more to see by stepping out and doing it from the outside in as an objective outsider.
I love that.
And it was a very, very, very courageous step to take, given that I was in such a wonderful, sort of settled,
Of course, super comfortable, glamorous, jet
comfortable.
setting around the regions.
It
Of
was,
course.
it was, it was an interesting one, and I'm glad I did it because 10 years on, and I know very few organizations actually survived those 10 years. But 10 years on, I can definitely say that having worked with numerous multinational organizations on the topic of amplifying
Mhm.
people
Yes.
and their leadership capability and how they contribute to the organization and how to amplify talent and retain talent and inspire and engage talent. And having had the chance to look at that from as an outsider for multiple global organizations, which is an opportunity I wouldn't have had if I'd stuck around, has been extremely rewarding, and now has become, I think, really what I'm all about when it comes to my professional life. Yeah.
I love this.
Mhm.
Let's go back to the moment where you decide there is more to see out there.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
it takes a little bit more than just there is more to see. How
Mhm.
did you get that strength? Because there's a lot of people get stuck in a job where they want to step out and work for their own dreams, but
Mhm.
they can't do it. What is it that really pushed you to like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make it work?
Hmm. I have to say that sometimes it's naivety that makes
I
people
love
do
that.
something.
It is.
And the other one would be confidence in yourself.
Yes.
And the third part, because I think it takes, regardless of both of those things, it takes structure, is a management plan.
Yes. Which
And
you have.
I'm a big advocate for having a management plan for any big changes or big things that you plan to do in your life. And I worked very closely and in partnership with a mentor and coach for about 9 months before I made the transition
Yes.
from corporate to entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Because what I didn't want to do was go out starry eyed. Oh,
Mhm.
I do this, it's what I
On
love.
my own. Yes.
I wanted to honor that feeling
Mhm.
and with seriousness.
Okay.
Because I'm very much both of those things.
Okay. I love
And
that.
so it was a very guardrailed approach that I took
Yes.
to making what I want happen in my life.
Yes.
And yes, it was definitely a difficult and a challenging journey to take, but I was not entirely unprepared for it. So,
And I love what you just shared.
mm,
It's good to get some help. And this is what you obviously offer to people and help them with. To be able, if you can't see the structure yourself, you
mm,
can have guidance to help you see it instead of
mm,
feeling it's too overwhelming to do anything.
mhm. Yeah, I reflect that back to you to say, yes, it's it's really important to ask for help and learn how to ask for it,
Exactly.
and to know where your strengths are, and also to embrace where you might need help. So I think it's knowing that you need help, what it is specifically, and on the other side, being ready to ask, and that in itself is a skill set. Is
It is.
It
Yes.
requires
Yes.
you to humble yourself. It
Yes.
requires you to be honest with
Yes.
yourself, and then reaching out and saying, could you maybe help me? Because I might not know everything about what it
Mm,
is I'm trying to achieve.
yes. And I love that. It does take a lot of boldness and you can you say humble yourself down, but also an understanding of being a leader. You're a student of leadership for life. So
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can be a leader and you can let yourself be led in some places that might feel new.
Yes, yes, I agree with you there. Definitely.
So you launched Phoenix, which I love. The name is incredible. What inspired you to use such a powerful name and a name that speaks to all of us?
Um, it's very kind of you to say that. And I think it speaks to many people because the reason I chose it was for its meaning, of course, right? So, rising from the ashes, and reinventing oneself, those things felt right for what it was that I wanted to create in the world or offer in the world. And at the same time, and I say this with great pragmatism, is many people feel the same way and so strongly about the word phoenix. And as it turned out, within about 6 months, I knew that I had chosen a name that many others had also chosen for their organization. So
That's
when you start a small business and it shares the name with many other small businesses, it's very hard to distinguish yourself. So I think one of the things that I learned was, do I stick with this? given
Mm,
that maybe I hadn't done all the thinking around this. But
really?
ultimately, the reason I stuck with it was because it still had such a hold on me in
Uh-huh.
terms of its meaning to me.
Uh-huh.
I decided that despite the fact that I had now put myself in a pool of other phoenixes all over the world,
Yours
uh,
is different.
I
Yours
would
is
have to
achievable.
somehow find a way to rise through that.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, is that
Interesting. Yeah.
what you feel happened to you? Rising from the ashes, rebirthing.
I don't think in that specific moment because I didn't have any ashes to rise from, but I'm always reinventing myself. And
Okay.
certainly there have been other moments in which I certainly have risen from the ashes.
Mm,
And sometimes it is not necessarily that you're just decimated, right? This
that's
is
right. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you. Yes.
it is not actually the objective of the universe to see you decimated.
No.
And you
No.
don't need to wait for that moment. I
No.
think it is about the rebirth and the regeneration and the rewriting and
Yes.
revitalization of
Mm,
yourself. And you're entitled to do that anytime. And I
mm,
think that's the most exciting thing to me about life in general is you can actually decide at any time, this is not enough for me.
mm,
This needs to be different. This can be another way. And I
mm,
choose for it to be that. So
mm.
I think this is really, really interesting um, uh, about life that many of us don't embrace or even recognize.
Mm.
I think we like to see ourselves, we like to have a set path and then we follow it.
Yes.
But there are often moments where you can stop and say, this path actually is not serving me now.
Mm.
Allowed to expect it to be different or change it.
I love this. I absolutely love this.
Mhm,
It's to everybody, and I love the way you say it, you are entitled
mhm,
to rechange your life, to recreate yourself, to like, this identity that I've been carrying, I don't want any of it. Let me just let it all go
mhm.
and bring
Let's
a new
start
one
over. Mhm.
and
And I
start over.
think it's interesting because we think that our identity is finite. We get to
Yes,
have one or
that's
two,
right.
right?
Yes, yes.
And we live with that. So what,
Mhm.
and I think we are more invested in it. And maybe along the way we've got other people who are also invested in that specific identity. That's how they want to see you. That's how they want to engage with you.
That's why they want to keep you.
Yes, also. And so that's the other part is
Yes.
there's in the reinvention, but it goes back to what I'm saying is actually as human beings,
Mhm.
we are in control of which identity we choose to have, and we are allowed to choose another one if that is who we are becoming, because evolution is the only constant.
Yes. And we are allowed to choose another one that will be more fit and a better match to the results that would have preferred to have around us,
Mhm.
right?
Certainly, certainly. We all should be in choice. Yes.
Yeah. And isn't that what empowerment is? Women empowerment is like when you give yourself that right. Because often we don't give it, we have given it away to someone else. And you're like, I'm stuck. I'm stuck.
You really feel that. I like to call it templates. We
Okay.
are we live into some templates that were pre-designed for us.
Okay.
Whether as leaders, whether as parents, whether as anything. So we often find ourselves um, stepping into templates and trying to be those templates. The
Yes.
template of leadership, for example, these
Yes.
were the templates of leadership were designed by people many years ago, and we are still expected as leaders in organizations to be that version of the
Mm,
template of leadership.
mm, mm.
But they were not designed by leaders that looked or felt like me, that had
Wow.
experiences like me, that were as, had the all the life experiences, I would say, education, work-wise, the lived experience, all of it. And so if leaders like me tried to contort ourselves into templates that were pre-designed for us, we would be doing ourselves a major disservice, and it's not sustainable. It is physically and emotionally and psychologically not sustainable to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Absolutely.
And many round pegs design these round holes for us to
Oh,
fit in,
yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
I think it is genuinely a moment in time right now where there are enough of us square pegs
Yes.
inside corporate. And there are. The face of corporate, the face of leadership is changing very quickly. It's much more diverse. It's much broader. It includes people of different preferences,
Yeah.
different skill sets, different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, the template is still quite the same.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that once we've reached critical mass and we are getting to that place
We're getting to that. Yes.
where more and more
Aware.
diverse people are in leadership, that we can start saying, this is not the template that we need to step into. Perhaps I will write my own template.
Yes.
Yeah, perhaps that creates a little bit of discomfort in the system.
Yeah. In the beginning, but then the system
For
will follow.
growth.
Yes.
It's for growth. Yeah.
Yeah. And and this discomfort is usually what block us. And it's mainly women, they're like, I'm not going to disturb. I'm not going to even show that I'm different. I'm just gonna fit in. And we've done it for so many years. We've done it because, and we let a lot of believe that are self-fulfilling prophecies about, you're a woman, you should work harder, you should do this, you should do that. And it it weighs on us, or and more for female than women. You've been HR and talent leader for both. What, what can you see that distinction more, or can you see that affecting more women than men, or is it the same?
I think it affects everyone in different ways. I think in the bigger picture, in the systemic perspective, we are all harmed by the templates because that means we never grow. And the system never changes. And when the system doesn't change and evolve and innovate, then we all lose out. So we are all harmed in different ways systemically. And then on an individual level, we are all affected differently as well. And women are affected differently, and men are affected differently. We all lose out in the end. The system loses out, and we all individually lose out. I think at the moment, and this is a very interesting topic, the distinction between the haves and the have-nots is those who fit the template more easily right now are men, right? And those who don't fit the template more easily right now are
Women.
women, and it can be different things as well. People of different sexual preferences, people of different capabilities, people. So I think the template actually just serves one very small segment of society. We just got off a call where somebody said, I am the 1% of the privileged. So the template certainly serves that 1% of
I see.
society.
And they know it. That's the
And
beauty.
and his recognition of his privilege was something that that is what I expect now. I don't expect the celebration of that. I don't know. Thank you for recognizing that. What a great job you're doing. It is now something that we all know exists, and it is
Mhm.
something as human beings we must um, advocate for.
Yeah.
That template is just a template. It's not exactly, it doesn't represent everybody else.
So
This template just represents the 1%.
can you give us an example of what a template means?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have all accepted a template, right? And the
Okay.
template was designed um, in which leaders need to be. Let me give you an example.
Yes.
Last week, I was at an event where there was a group of political leaders on a stage, and they were all talking about what it takes. And these political leaders were each of them in their own districts responsible for jobs,
Okay.
ensuring that there's an infrastructure in which jobs can be found, an infrastructure where there are career counselors, an infrastructure in which people are paid when they are jobless. So each of these leaders that was sitting on the stage was responsible for this in their own district.
Mm.
And so the question that was being asked of them was,
Mm.
what does it take for anyone in Switzerland at this point to find a job because the market is so difficult? So what is your recommendation?
Okay.
And it was for, it was the event or the forum was for immigrants and and refugees, basically immigrants and refugees who who are also now in the market looking for jobs with locals.
Uh-huh.
And it all came down to, at one point, it all came down to the most important thing that you must have, you must have, you must have. And it was repeated by three or four was language, 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 language. You must speak X level of German in order for you to even imagine getting a job in Switzerland. Fair
Okay.
enough. So that's the template, right? There's a template. Here's the template. We're giving it to you.
Yes.
If you do education, blah, 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 and then finally language, and language was said about 8 times. So
Oh,
we were
wow.
in the audience and we were clear.
Mhm.
Okay, clear. And we accepted that because we are being told that this is the template you have to fit in.
Absolutely. You had to fit in that. Yeah.
Right.
No
And so
question.
we recognize there's a recognition that there's a template that exists, whether
Yes.
it's a global template, whether it's a geographic template. This is a geographic template,
Yes.
right?
Specific to a region.
It's
Absolutely.
specific to your region. You have to be ready to recognize what those templates are.
Mm.
And then as we all sat there and we said, okay, this is the template, this is how it works.
Mhm.
There's no other way for it to work. Somebody stood up in the back, in the very back of the room,
Yeah.
and said, I am here because I am married to a person who is local and I am an immigrant as a result of that.
Mhm.
I have been looking for a job for X number of years. It was certainly more than 3 years.
Wow.
I have an education from an Ivy League school. I have worked with the biggest financial organizations. Um, and I speak the language to that level.
Uh-huh.
And I still haven't been able to find a job. What do you suggest for me?
Wow.
And this was the moment in which we all sat there, those on this side and those on the other side. The fact that there were even sides is something that worries me, because are we all in this together to
Yes.
solve for the bigger problems of talent,
Yeah.
immigration,
Yeah.
integration? Are we all here to solve for integration, which was
Yes.
in this forum? Or are we here to sit on each other's on separate sides and
Mm.
tell you why it can't work
Mm.
and what you on the other side need to do
Mm.
in order, what template you need to fulfill in
Yes.
order for us to achieve a global solution or a regional solution, that systemic solution?
Mm.
And so that's sort of where I'm coming from when you say, what's the template? There's always a template. And
Yes.
some of us are affected by the template. So there's the
Absolutely.
receivers of the template, and then there's the implementers of the template. So
Yes.
there's two sides.
They're too sad.
And
And
the
they will
work is being done by those who receive the template. They work, they work, they work, they learn the
do.
language, they
Yes,
learn this, they learn that.
they
They
prepare. They
they
do
speak
everything to fit
they
in.
speak English without an accent, right?
That's
They wear certain shoes, they wear certain clothes,
yes,
they do all the work. That's
yes.
what templates do to us.
Okay.
They exclude our humanity, they
Mm.
exclude our uniqueness.
And who we are truly.
Yes. And with that, we exclude creativity, we exclude
Mm.
innovation, we exclude
Wow.
possibility, we exclude empathy, we exclude everything. And it only comes down to fit this box.
Wow.
And in the system, that means we don't solve for integration, we don't solve for the problems of the world. It could be anything. Put an X on it, and those are the big global problems that we don't solve.
I love this take. You are amazing. And so to genius in bringing back the the reality
Mhm.
and representing it with a template and proving, because it's a demonstration, right, like a scientific proof that
Mhm.
that is what exclude even any hint of creation, innovation, and leading, because how do you want to lead if you
Yeah.
don't even have that creativity? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, somebody who was sitting on that stage who challenged what was happening in the room, who
Yeah,
saw this, that side and this side.
dynamic.
Yeah, they saw it, was sitting on the stage and actually grabbed the mic even though it wasn't his turn. And he did something that nobody else did. He got in the ring, he got in the middle,
Okay.
right? So he put himself in the middle of those two sides of
Sides.
this conversation. And he said, what if we imagined a future in which, and so I'm sharing this because this is an example of what changing the template could look like if everybody got in the ring, right? Because
Yes.
there's, you can sit on the sides of the ring or you can get in.
Yeah.
So he came into the ring and he said, what if what we did was we recognized that people who are refugees are people who have high levels of resilience, high levels of determination, high level of commitment and motivation to integrate. I mean, they really, where else are they
They're
going to
gonna do
go?
everything. They're
Right?
gonna do
Where else? They will do whatever it takes, right?
whatever it takes.
What
Absolutely.
if we recognize that and create a 6 month pathway for
Wow.
them to arrive into and learn as they go? So, integrate. What if we explored an integrate as you go model,
I love that. Yes.
right? What
Yes.
does that do? That brings everybody into the ring.
Yes.
Everybody is taking a risk.
Mm.
The refugee is taking the risk, right? The person who wants to integrate, the person who wants to immigrate is taking the risk, is doing
Yes.
all the work. And the system and the people who drive the system and build the system and create the templates, they say,
Yes.
we'll also take a risk. We will redesign the template with you.
Yeah.
Because what we want to do when we get into the ring is what we really want to do is not commit ourselves to a template, but
No.
commit ourselves to the broader solution of
Yeah.
integration.
Absolutely brilliant. This is brilliant. Absolutely a brilliant way of representing what leadership means today.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
really does.
Absolutely. It's like you break free from everything. You need to unlearn everything and to restart fresh.
It, it, re- it requires an acceptance of loss because
Mm.
what we lose in that is our commitment to a lot of the things, a
To the
lot of
template.
the
Our
features.
commitment to the template.
Yes, exactly. And that template, it represents years of work, years of effort, and it does feel a little bit disloyal. It might, it might feel a little bit like, you drank the Kool-Aid or
Mm.
something, and it requires. Um, so I understand the difficulty with that. I understand the difficulty with that. It also requires the loss of some privileges,
Yeah.
right? because you fit the template. So you might lose the privileges that come with fitting
With
that
fitting
template.
of the templates,
Yeah.
yes.
And so it requires an inner shift that is so much bigger. And that's the shift of accepting the loss, maybe, the
Mm,
privilege, maybe, whatever that is,
yeah.
in order to be able to see the bigger get for
Yes,
yourself in the future.
absolutely. This is
Yes.
the beautiful, and it requires also an endurance in the discomfort of being not there and not here, and that's the hardest part.
Yes, I agree with you. It will require endurance.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
loving this. This is such a beautiful conversation. We can stay on for the whole day, but I'm going to ask you one last question. I always ask my guests is what's your definition of being a leader? Although we grabbed it from this whole template conversation that is so powerful.
yeah,
So,
thank you. My definition is really to be yourself
mm,
and to stand in your truth as much as you possibly can. And I know that's hard because the template isn't there for many of us. And I have that is my lived experience. I know how hard it is to just be fully yourself with all of your diversity, all of your messiness, all of your beauty, all of that,
mm,
and say, this is who I'm going to honor.
wow.
But in doing that, as we begin to do that, even if you have to take baby steps,
Mm,
in beginning to do that, we pave the way for a future, at least through our own example, for others to be more themselves than we will ever get to be. Because I am very pragmatic. I don't think that we will get to be fully ourselves in it's just so much work needs to be done in
mm,
order for us to also then do the work we want to do.
mm.
And that's the tug of war is I want to be
But we
myself.
can open the door, though. We
Yeah,
can.
but we need to do that. We need to step into these spaces and be as much of ourselves and challenge the template as much as we possibly can. They say in my faith, sometimes the fight is not the physical fight. Sometimes it's just the conversation you have within yourself. And sometimes it's with your words,
Yes.
and sometimes it's with your thoughts only. So, whatever it is that you have access to, do that
Mm.
because we create the way for the next and the next and the next generation.
Absolutely. This is such a beautiful words. Thank you so
Mm.
much. This is one of the most powerful episodes we had in our leadership series. Thank you very much for your wisdom and for your beautiful way of expressing this new understanding of leadership.
It
Thank you.
was
Thank
my
you.
absolute pleasure. I had a really good time here. Thank you.
Me too. It was fun. Thank you, everyone, for